Before Argentina, I didn't know what to expect. I knew this trip was connected to a class talking about social movements, but I didn't know that it would impact me in any way. This was also my first time traveling outside the United States, so everything felt new and scary. Throughout this trip, I got to visit historical sites, learn about Argentina's history, and see firsthand how social movements influence people's lives today. Looking back, this experience taught me so much more than I expected. It completely changed the way I think about social justice and activism. One of the things that stood out to me the most was learning about Argentina's military dictatorship. Before this trip, I knew very little about it. Hearing about people being kidnapped, tortured, and disappeared by their own government was honestly hard to wrap my head around. It's one thing to read about something in a textbook, but it's another thing to learn about it while standing in the place where it actually happened. The more I learned, the more I understood why people in Argentina are so passionate about remembering this history and making sure it never happens again. Visiting ex-ESMA was probably one of the most powerful experiences of the entire trip. Walking into the building made everything feel real. Instead of hearing facts or dates, I found myself thinking about the actual people who were held there and what they went through. It was emotional, uncomfortable, and very eye-opening at the time. That visit really showed me why remembering history is so important. Places like ex-ESMA aren't just museums, they're reminders of what can happen when people lose their rights and why it's important to continue fighting for justice. Another thing that really impacted me was learning about the Madres de Plaza de Mayo. Out of everything we learned, their story is one that I'll probably never forget. These were mothers who lost their children during the dictatorship, but instead of giving up, they kept showing up and demanding answers. What impressed me most was how determined they were. Even when nobody wanted to listen, they kept fighting. Their story showed me that social movements don't always start with politicians or famous leaders. Sometimes they start with ordinary people who refuse to stay silent when something is wrong. Out of all people in Argentina, they found a loophole. They started a movement with just walking around this monument. They didn't think it would change the world, they just wanted someone to listen. I also noticed how passionate people in Argentina are. Whether we were learning about human rights, labor movements, women's rights, or environmental issues, people there genuinely care about what is happening around them. It felt like social justice wasn't something people talked about in a classroom. It was something they lived every day. Seeing that passion made me think about how important it is to care about the issues happening in our own communities. Change doesn't happen because people sit back and wait for someone else to fix things. It happens because people get involved, whether it's a community, whether it's one individual. It's important to get involved. I enjoyed visiting places like Casa Rosada and the Eva Perón Museum. Coming here, I had heard Eva Perón's name before, but I didn't know much about her story. Learning about her work and the impact she had on workers and women helped me. It helped me better understand why she's still such an important figure in Argentina today. Besides everything I learned in class and during our visits, I also learned a lot just from being in another country. Since this was my first time leaving the United States, leaving Texas, I was constantly noticing differences in culture, food, daily life, and even the way people interacted with each other. It pushed me out of my comfort zone in a good way. And then being there reminded me that there isn't just one way to live or see the world. Experiencing another culture helped me become more open-minded and gave me a better appreciation for perspectives that are different from my own, especially being in a country where people are so passionate about what they do, how they talk, who they talk to, and about who they are as Argentinians. One of the biggest things I'm taking away from this trip is a stronger interest in social justice. Before coming to Argentina, I understood what social justice meant, but now I feel like I understand why it matters. I saw how much of a difference people can make when they come together around a cause they care about, whether it was the Madres de Plaza de Mayo, human rights, or other social movements we learned about. They all showed me that change is possible when people are willing to keep fighting for it. This trip changed the way I think about my own role in creating change. I used to think that social movements as something that happened in history books or something led by famous people. Now I realize that social movements are made up of regular people, people who live daily lives, people who go to work, who have a 9 to 5, who have kids, who just want to go home and just have a peaceful day. These regular people made such a powerful difference because they wanted to see change. I learned that sometimes just speaking up, staying informed, and supporting a cause can have an impact. My experience in Argentina was something I'll never forget. I went there expecting to learn about social movements, but I ended up learning so much more about history, justice, culture, and even a few things about myself that I didn't know about. The stories I heard, the places I visited, and the people I learned about gave me a completely different perspective on life outside of the United States. Most importantly, this trip showed me how powerful collective action can be and why it's important to stand up for what you believe in. I know I'll carry these lessons with me long after today, and I'm really grateful for everything this experience has taught me.
De mujeres se fueron con las botellas, pidieron que cantara mi.
Y ahora cómo me voy hoy, pero bueno, me voy a ingeniar. Hay muchos colectivos para tomar. Dios bendiga esta ciudad. ¿Sabes qué? Yo rapeo y se escucha. Dicen que Argentina es la ciudad de la furia, así que tienen que venir a disfrutar. Y también para Cancún, para que te vayas a bañar. Cómete unos tacos nada. Oh, ¿sabes qué? Yo le meto, por eso a México yo lo respeto. También obviamente amo a Argentina, amo a Venezuela, la comunidad latina, porque mi rap suena lindo y yo soy hispano, yo no soy un gringo.